Star Wars is like the Titanic. It is sinking, ever so sinking. It hasn't sunk yet, but it will eventually be fully submerged underwater. These shows aren't really doing so well. Only one hits high merit, but it should be not the exception, but the status quo. Andor. Only in the writing department, however. Star Wars should not be an HBO drama. Episode 3, Episode 6, Episode 10, and Episode 12 was the highlight of the season. Shouldn't have to wait 3 episodes to get something exciting. Every episode should be exciting. Even though Season 3 of The Mandalorian was not the best, it still had the elements that makes the Star Wars universe enjoyable. Overall, there's a lot more fun things to see. The series just needed to have more competent storytelling. Same thing for Ahsoka. But The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Andor especially, those series don't really harm the overall lore of what George Lucas has made. Before The Acolyte, Kenobi was what I would consider the worst Star Wars show for its merit. Star Wars is all about its storytelling. And if you mess with the story, that's how I rate you as bad. The Book of Boba Fett just ruins one character, Boba Fett, but it doesn't do all that twisting up the lore. Kenobi started rewriting the impressions of the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope. So a show like that messes with the canon of Star Wars, I see as truly problematic. So with The Acolyte, that's where it finally just falls off the deep end. The writing is bad. This series is now rated worse than the Star Wars Holiday Special. And the Star Wars Holiday Special is media that you're not really meant to take seriously, really. And for that, it doesn't even really mess with the lore, even if you was to consider it canon. If you was to add that to the canon, it would not ruin anything of the original trilogy. It wouldn't mess with A New Hope. It was just something experimental, something that George Lucas don't want to talk about. But what if you was to compare that with certain shows today, it might really get a slap on the wrist. The Acolyte is so artificially generated. As I mean by that is the writing has to make the Jedi antagonistic, but the fundamentals of the Jedi is righteous. You can't just twist that and try to make that problematic, because people can figure that the Jedi are selfless, right? So you have to twist the characters and make them incompetent or just un-Jedi-like in order to make a point. But that shouldn't be the case, because the Jedi isn't supposed to act like that. I know that there will be some characters that stumble, but they aren't meant to be seen as antagonistic. And the thing is that they penalize the misunderstanding Jedi and excuse actual evil acts, such as Chimera and May, who has done actual evil things. Vanestra the Corrupt is a convincing villain. She twists words and betrayed her friend. Too bad she's not considered a villain, according to the show. With the cancellation of this series, some people out there are confused. Why? Cancel this. It's too obvious. But some of these people are in it just for the romance. The romance? These parents, I got to say, Chimera and Osha, Rey and Kylo Ren, even Anakin and Padme, especially in episode 2. Call that romance? We haven't had good romance since 1980, The Empire Strikes Back. But some people are just baffled that this series will not continue. But it is like school. If you failed the school year, you're not going to the next grade. But the difference between school and Star Wars is that school has summer school.